Greetings and welcome to Real Men Feel. I'm your host, author, coach, and healer, Andy Grant. Please visit theandygrant.com to learn more about that. Last weekend, I was in Connecticut to staff the New Warrior Training Adventure Weekend, which is a weekend-long rite of passage for men from the ManKindProject. This was the first NWTA event in New England in 3 years, thanks to COVID. I was supposed to have staffed this weekend last October when it was originally scheduled, but then all the NWTA events across the United States were put on hold due to charges of cultural appropriation. I did a show about this last October, episode 277, Cultural Appropriation and Misappropriations with the ManKindProject. The charges of cultural appropriation from a group of Native American elders called Spirit. Now, I'm not going to rehash everything here. You can visit the blog at realmenfeel.org, and I'll have links to every article and video that I mentioned. But when I discovered that all the NWTAs were canceled, I was shocked, disappointed, and hurt. My NWTA was back in October of 2016, and there was a lot of Native American ritual and ceremony, and it was prevented very respectfully, I thought, honoring where they came from and giving full acknowledgement. And it was stressed how much training the ManKindProject guys had with the Lakota people to learn what we would be doing. Now, I thought cultural appropriation meant taking something from another culture and claiming it as your own. And MKP never did that in anything that I was involved with. Nobody in MKP claimed to have invented any of the rituals or processes that we took part in. Now, there were months of negotiation between the ManKindProject and indigenous leaders, and I wasn't sure when or if NWTAs would even return. I feared they would be so watered down if they did come back that the power just wouldn't be there. They'd just kind of be this lame shell of what once was a great thing. Now, I don't agree with all the things that MKP let go of doing, but I also wasn't there. I was not part of the process. I have had no interaction with Native Americans who were upset by things that were happening on these weekends. I do appreciate MKP's attempt to have integrity, to really stand behind their intended consequences and the unintended consequences of their trainings. When the NWTAs were scheduled again, I did not sign up to staff. I wasn't sure what the changes were, and if I was on board with making any changes at all. But as I had previously stepped forward to staff, they reached out and asked me if I would staff, so I decided to do so. And I was interested. I wanted to see and have the experience of this updated weekend to see if it was, for better, for worse, or just, maybe had no impact at all. I don't know. But I wanted to find out that it was still powerful and was something I could recommend to men again. Because though I staffed this past weekend, I did not promote it at all. I did not invite any men to come do it because I wanted to make sure it was worth doing. I didn't want to. It's almost like inviting someone to see the sequel to a movie when it's like half as good as the original, and you're just kind of telling them to come to the sequel because everybody liked the original. But even though if I know the sequel is just crap. Real Men Feel's history with the ManKindProject goes back a long ways. It was way back, episode 26. Man, that sounds like fucking forever ago. Episode 26, we interviewed Boysen Hodgson from the ManKindProject. He's their communications director. That was back in early days. Apio Hunter was still my co-host then. And so we talked about him, and that's really when the first time I learned about this New Warrior Training Adventure Weekend, and there'll be a link to it in the show notes. And as fate would have it, Boysen was in Massachusetts, that's where I live. And there was a weekend in Massachusetts coming up in just a few weeks, and it was like 30 minutes from my house. So in the show, I agreed to do the weekend, and I did. And I did my traditional before and after videos that have become kind of native to things I do. So there'll be a link for my before video, the day I was leaving for it, and my after video. I think it's the morning after I got home. And I just watched that again today, and my voice is shot. It was funny. Anyways, you can get first-hand reports, and I don't give away what happens. I don't give away what's done. If you go to the weekend now or you go to the weekend 10 years from now, you're not going to know what's different. Just like if someone that did it in the 80s is very different from what I went through in 2016. And so, don't bother comparing. Just know that you'll get what you need out of the weekend. I believe that firmly. So I did my before and after videos, and then we also did a full Real Men Feel episode talking about, again, my report of the weekend, my experiences. And my first time I really recommend everyone should do this. And I've often joked that if I ever run for president, a platform of my campaign will be that all men must attend the New Warrior Training Adventure Weekend. So then I was really on board for that. And then I staffed about 6 months later in March of 2017. I did my first staffing. Also, I've had many, many guests on Real Men Feel have been through the weekend, are active or were active at one point in the Mankind Project. And sometimes that's really part of the show. And sometimes that's just something that we find that we had in common after the show. But so many of the best men I meet have been through this weekend, this New Warrior Training Adventure. Anyway, back to last weekend. I staffed my first NWTA since 2017, and I did so because I so wanted to fall in love with the weekend again. I wanted to find that despite any changes, and especially despite any opinion I had on those changes, that this was still a powerful, potent weekend that I could recommend to all men. It is. I was flying high for days, knowing that there were 25 new men in the world, men with vision, meaning, and a mission, men who had grown, healed, and reclaimed the gold within them. I wanted to staff this New Warrior Training Adventure Weekend to see if it was still something I could heartily recommend to men. Do it. Just fucking do it. Don't look for details about what happens. Don't go looking for detailed reviews. All of my videos are safe. I share only the experience. I don't give details about what we go through, but you'll go on a hero's journey. There will be times you will want to leave. You will want to quit. If you're anything like me, you will want to quit and leave. Let that be enough of a description. Let the notion that you are going to step forward for a challenging weekend that will benefit you greatly be enough. And if you've done the weekend, I highly recommend staffing it. You'll get wins and insights at another level, and seeing it from the other side it just helps you develop and grow and appreciate your experience as well. And you'll make new friends with staff and with new men, as well as reconnect with people that perhaps were on your weekend, depending where you live. Right. After my first staffing, I shot a video in my car before I drove home, and I just started talking about it. And I just remember being in tears, unplanned tears, like immediately. And I expected the same thing last Sunday. I think I even told other men, like, oh, I'll just sit in my car for a while and I'll start talking about it and start crying and make a video. But there were no tears. I just felt good. I kept waiting for a few days, waiting for the emotions to bubble up, to kind of overwhelm me. And then I should do my little recap. But that point never came. So it allowed me to see my growth since 2017. I can have a positive impact on the weekend and help men grow without it being so emotional that when I finally exhale and let go, I'm not sobbing, right? Not that there's anything wrong with that. I've done it plenty of times, but it was just interesting to see that isn't the only way my experience has to end. Right now, plug in newwarriortrainingadventure.com into a browser, and you'll get a list of upcoming weekend events around the globe. Pick one, anyone, and register. And to be transparent, I don't even get a free t-shirt, regardless of how many people you go there or how many people sign up. Yeah, there's nothing. This is me sharing something that I firmly believe will help you tremendously. And we really both get what we want. A better world. Wherever you are discovering Real Men Feel, please like, subscribe, follow, share this with somebody, post a comment. And until next time, be good to yourself.